platform engineers are actually more important and more critical for the organization's success in adopting AI.
Welcome to the /podcast, where we lean into the future of IT by inviting fellow thought leaders, innovators, and problem solvers to slash through its complexity. Today, we're talking to Matan Grady. Matan is the lead AI product manager at Port, a developer platform that transforms how engineering teams operate. Born and raised in Tel Aviv, Israel, where he lives with his wife and 2 young kids, Matan's journey to product started in the IDF as a teacher, then shifted to human resources, where he discovered his passion for building systems and automations. This led him to product management, where his technical skills allow him to contribute hands-on alongside the engineering team. He joined Port, which became the perfect blend of his passions and capabilities. Outside work, Matan builds automations like an inbox zero agent and AI call tracker. The joke being that his AI agents keep working even when he's hiking with his kids. That's funny. A vegan for 15 years, Matan is excited to be at the forefront of how AI is fundamentally changing what it means to be a developer. Welcome to the show.
Hi, James. Thank you for having me today.
Yeah, well, welcome from, you're in Tel Aviv right now, right?
Yeah, I am.
Oh, nice. We recently had our director of platform engineering, Dylan Courts, on the show, and we were talking about platform engineering a little bit. It seems, even though AI seems to be kind of stealing the show for everything, it seems like it, but platform engineering is holding in there strong. So how is business over at Port? How are you all doing?
Yeah, that's a great question. So what we call like developer portals is something that is not getting erased. What
Right.
we're hearing is that platform engineers are actually more important and more critical for the organization's success in adopting AI. So AI is not stealing the show because everyone wants AI and everyone trying to build with AI and build AI products. Like AI is everywhere, obviously, but once you see the value of it, then comes the worries and will it do okay? Can I trust it with my secrets? Can I trust it with our production environment? And we know that engineer not only code. Actually, most of the time he don't code. He builds, he operates, he monitors, he deploys, and this is what platform engineers are about. And even more than that, AI agents that start to roam among us, they also need the platform. They also need access. They also need tools. So
Sure.
I think all of this just set the stage for platform engineers to succeed and thrive in this world.
Awesome. Yeah. I was really excited to have you on the show because you kind of have a unique perspective. I mean, you're building, we've had folks on, product folks on in the past, but you have a unique perspective that you're building products for software engineers and platform engineers. So that's kind of a different audience. So that's why I wanted to have you on. And I think it's a really cool perspective that you might have. But what is it like, product, we've been doing this product thing for a long time, building software products, but AI, I mean, you touched on it a little bit already, but what is it like in this new, post AI world and trying to build products? How has it changed, expectations with our users, and what does that look like now?
Right. So in a platform kind of context, you're building all kind of systems. Like you're building actions, you're building pages, you're building dashboards, you're building your data model. Like you're building all kind of things in the platform and through platform engineering. And building could be code, it could be low code. And we have this joke that we have code and we have low code, then no code, and now it's like prompt or chat and everything that I go to a product and I currently assess products by, do they have a good MCP server? Do they have integration to leading chat providers? So Definitely, I think that our patience is lowered. Like we can get everything like in a chat, in a prompt, in a glance. And when you have a product that requires more work, than even if it's an internal product or a system, then you just think twice. So in that sense, I believe and I see that users are expecting this. Let me ask something. Let me get the answer. I want to deploy. Let's deploy this to production. Let's see it happening. Let's have this kind of magical workflows happening in our systems. This is kind of the dream and the promise, and it's very hard to get there. This is what we're trying to do, and this is what we're building. But I would say that's from the user side. And from the platform side, and we kind of touched on that, you see the AI. Like you see someone got access to, to Cloud Code, and he was able to build something, and then AWS comes with some offering, they connect it to this, they connect a couple of MCP servers, and you come after a day and say, I have an app, or I have a production-ready app. And it's frightening, like it's scary, like leadership sees this. And then, so why do we have this project that's kind of waiting 3 months, and why do we have this platform team building like a new pipeline or a new migration project? And within this kind of chaos, we need to understand how and where to adopt AI, safely, in where it brings value. So that's also from the platform's side that needs to see how they leverage AI more, but also in a good way, right? So the results are good.
Right. And I know, like, I wonder, it seems like the expectations have changed of our users these days. Like, it used to be you're worried about the user experience and the user interface a lot, right? How can I make novel and unique ways to present information and data to my users? But, everybody's, they're all gaga over this chat GPT thing, which is just typing in text, right? We're just typing and talking back and forth with a computer. Are you seeing kind of transition to where people are expecting just a textual interface with their products these days? Is that more of a demand?
So I would split it into two. First of all, let's say in the chat era, that I think we are currently like right in the middle of like being post chat era. But in the pre-chat era, or in the chat era, I would say that the chat is like a very strong interface, and it has many delicate UX pieces. Even if you go into ChatGPT or Claude or whatever chat you're using, it's not just typing text and see what happens. Like you type a text, and then if you count how many seconds from the second like you clicked send, I think the answer is ready. You have like 30 seconds probably at best. And to build a UX that lets you live these 30 seconds, like you see the reasoning, and you see things, and you see it's activating tools, and you see the live streaming of answers, and you see sometimes graphs. So I think it's actually fascinating that just a chat became like our new canvas for work, and you see the chat companies just competing on which feature the next one is bringing in the chat. But I would also say that we are somewhat post the chat era, where we say, like, I just want to give you a task and like let me know when you're over with it. Like, go find me a ticket, go purchase me like a new clothes. And in this context, I think that it's a new challenge, because you're not even in the chat. You're in the world. You're not even in the product. You just say, go build me an app, and what then? And I think that's like a huge challenge. I think that we are, I would say, like a couple of years from like this as someone, I don't not remember who, but someone said this sentence as, Iron Man, Tony Stark doesn't use a computer. So I believe we are like 1-2 years from being in this state that you don't really need a computer. Like, why should I chat if I can talk and dictate? Why should I dictate if, I don't know, maybe someday it will read my mind, or maybe if we'll see through my glasses what I'm seeing, and we kind of, so I'm kind of, I think the leading AI provider, the really visionaries companies now kind of think how the interactions between humans and machines are looking like 3-5 years, and I'm pretty sure it's not the chat. So let's see where he takes us.
Now, am I going to get to flying around in a metal suit soon? Is that what you're telling me? Like, that sounds cool.
That's so amazing. I mean, it will definitely solve the morning traffic problem.
AI can do that now, right? Now, and you bring up an interesting point, like that we're kind of transitioning from this kind of chat, interactive back and forth world to where it's more of an asynchronous, agentic world where I say, I need this thing, can go off and do. Now, and maybe this is a transitionary period. Do you feel like the interface or the expectation from the users will be more of a like, so you mentioned like, go buy me some clothes. Right now, especially with my experience with like ChatGPT and these things, they're a little flaky at times and they kind of go off in their own direction. I don't know that I would trust them to go just buy me some clothes and then the stuff just shows up on my doorstep and I'm okay with it.
Right.
I would think there's probably like that human in the loop kind of contact. Like maybe it might go off and say, I've picked out 5 outfits. Let me know what you think. Is that kind of, do you think that's the next evolution? Is this like I go and present you with options and then, then we figure it out from there? And do you think ultimately it'll go to like, just go buy me an outfit for prom next month, something like that?
Right. I think you nailed it. Like this is really what we're working on at Port. When you talked, what I thought is that there's, I think something psychological in us that like you send someone. Even let's put AI outside of the equation for a second. Like,
sure.
We are employees, and I send you to a task, and I'm your manager, and like I just go something like go build this report, and then like I'm waiting like an hour, half a day, like the day after, like I request a status update, right? And usually the status is coming with some question marks, some good, some bad. So I think the same goes with AI. The main difference is that A, it's much faster, and B, as you mentioned, it can do some chaotic things. We call it the agentic chaos.
Yeah.
So I think it was 2 days ago or so that OpenAI and Stripe announced this kind of agentic commerce where basically you did exactly what you mentioned in the prompt, only you also connect your Stripe account and you can actually charge and it can actually purchase on your behalf. And now, as you said it, I'm not sure I would trust it. Like, what if it would buy the wrong outfit? What if it would pay 10 pieces of this outfit? So I believe that, first of all, humans are here to stay. Agents, hopefully, and if there are any agents listening, then we know you're up to good. But we're here to live in peace and harmony. And
sure.
I believe the human in the loop and the ability to say, in these kind of scenarios, we must have humans to approve or review. And in this kind of scenario, you can be more autonomous. I believe this is kind of the future platforms we need. We need the ability to say when humans are needed, when they are not. We want to leverage humans when they need to collaborate, think, architect. We don't want them when we have like repetitive, tedious tasks. And I agree that the way to trust AI is to start by baby steps, see it succeeds, go to the next steps, pretty much like you would do with a new employee. You wouldn't say, summarize the last quarter in your report. You would say, right, send me a 1-pager on this project, and then if it's good enough, you give the next task. So this is kind of, I see us onboarding our AI agents.
Okay. Makes sense. Now, Port is they've been around for a little while, right? So they were before this kind of AI craze. What was the transition like as we're learning, the world is like, okay, this AI thing is catching on and it's caught on like wildfire now. What was the transition like as a product company from like, okay, we roadmapped everything with no AI built in, and now it's like everybody's expected to have some sort of flavor of AI features in their product. How was that transition? Did the product team have to educate themselves? And I'm sure the engineering team had to, but what was that transition like?
So from the perspective of today, I would say it was amazing, fascinating, also frightening at times.
Oh, yeah.
Probably like a year or so ago. So I think there was the chapter of chats where we saw like Claude and ChatGPT, they kind of build code. We kind of started to baby steps in trusting AI. And I believe at that point of time, we kind of sat the product team, which was approximately like a year ago, and kind of tried to reimagine what would the future look like. And today when you say future with AI, it's like a day or two. At the time we said it's like, okay, like a few years, like let's assume technology will get there. How will it look like? And we kind of started to tackle ourselves with questions like, would engineers need to approve pull requests? Like, would it still make sense? Or why do I need to think if I want to deploy the latest version to production? Like, shouldn't I just assume always production needs to be latest? Or if we have a security issue, why do I need someone to review and say, yeah, we need to fix this? So we kind of started to raise all these kind of assumptions that we had in the pre-AI world and started to tackle them. And out of these conversations, we agreed that we must get our foot in AI hands-on. And, my take here is that the only way to be, so to speak, in this trend is just try it yourself. Like, try to avoid the LinkedIn, the X, the whatever it is that says, I build an app in a day, or all these products are gone, ChatGPT killed them all. Just go and try. And it's hard because there are so many products, so many trends. Mm-hmm. And we just, put there in the mud. We formed a team. I started leading it as a PM. I had amazing co-workers, colleagues from the engineering team, from the marketing team. And we just started day and night, sitting, thinking. It wasn't like we have a roadmap and we have this feature request and like we have this kind of 1 year roadmap. Not at all. It just like what went out of the news yesterday, what we can do today. Let's build it. By the end of the day, we see it. Okay, it's good enough. It's getting us there. It's not. Let's delete everything. It was kind of back and forth. And within, I believe it was like 3 months, more or less, we came up with a closed beta offering. And this started, give us lots of leads and conversations. And we started hearing about what worries platform engineers and why they want to adopt AI and why leadership wants, AI to be in the forefront, but what are the challenges there? And this set us in a new kind of path. And today, for our analysis, I can say safely that platforms and platform engineers are here to stay. As we talked on, and
sure.
I believe there's many to come there. And as a product team, it kind of required us to first of all try hands-on, like try writing prompts, try to evaluate AI, try to see why it doesn't get things right. Try to ask the same question 5 times and see why the 3rd out of 5 came up wrong. And kind of, it's a new kind of I think product skill, and staying up to date with the news and have engineers that they didn't write prompts in the past. Now they need to learn it and find the right infrastructure. So it was really a crazy ride, but we were focused as hell on like, we need to get this out, and we have like, we kind of, I see it as kind of a startup within a startup kind of vibe. Mm-hmm. And I believe this was very successful, and with the place that my team is currently in, we are starting, to influence the other teams. We learned, we kind of did the hyper growth of our learning on AI. Now we are kind of starting to shift it in and teach all the other teams and eventually become an AI native company. I believe everyone wants to be, so we are also in this journey.
Nice. And as we were talking about at the beginning, that you all are developing products for developers. Is it you have to be developers to develop software products? So do you feel like, is there any bias that is it difficult to kind of take that step back and say, how do I think from an unbiased perspective about the products that software engineers use? What's that experience like building for software developers?
Right. In a way, you might think that, but then I kind of think that most leading AI products today are really built by engineers for engineers. Like you think on the coding agents, you think on building apps. And I would also say that this kind of AI trend and hype in technology allows for more people to participate in building software. And I think that kind of the team we form have both, software engineers that the way I tackle the bias is like, if we try to build something, for example, with AI for developers, let's say connecting their IDE to the portal, then, okay, let's first try it inside. Like, does it give you value as an engineer in my team to be able to connect your IDE to port, for example? And if it is, what is missing or what could make it 10x better? And then only we go out to market. And as a PM, I am quite technical, but I'm not in the weeds. I'm not kind of building and tackling the day-to-day struggles. So I believe I have like the way to balance the team and say, but we heard these customers who says this is this challenge, or we read this Gartner report that says these are the kind of the market changes, or we see this kind of trend in LinkedIn. What do we think about that? So I think it's a lot of collaboration in challenging one another and see that we are not getting too much in love with the solution, as product folks like to say.
Yeah.
And really more with the problem. So even if we think we have the good solution, we always say, okay, but we have to get 5 customers that actually say it solved the problem. So, let's not go too deep on that. But I think I think it's actually quite amazing to build software product for software people by software engineers, or build with AI products for platform engineers who try to adopt AI. I think it's like this kind of dog fooding flywheel that is really,
sure.
I think its benefits to win-win for all situations, but as anything else, we need to make sure we challenge ourselves and stay grounded.
Yeah, I love that idea of dog fooding. And some product companies don't have the opportunity to do that. I mean, it's kind of cool that you're building software tools for software developers, and you are software developers, so you can use your own tools. So it's really a fortuitous thing for you all. Now, what about, when it comes to this AI stuff, obviously the world is changing around us every single day. There's a new headline of something cool coming out. I would guess that software engineers are probably a little more savvy when it comes to that stuff. They're more aware of the new trends and stuff like that. Does it make it harder as a product company for software engineers that like, oh my goodness, I got to stay up with all of the latest trends because this is my audience? Whereas if you were building a product for, kind of the mom and pop, like my parents or something, they're not going to care about an MCP server necessarily, at least not right now. Maybe in a year, maybe 2, but the developers are going to be a lot closer to that bleeding edge. Does that make it harder as a product company to build products for software engineers?
First of all, I put in my calendar to check in a year if my mom is looking for an MCP server. That would be a good one.
I guarantee she will. She will. And if I'm wrong, you can call me back and tell me I'm wrong.
I hear you, James. I will write it down. I think that I would say like yes and no. Like no, because I wouldn't say that software engineers, the technical people, are so savvy that they stay up with the news, they try everything, and they're asking or craving for this MCP server. What I do see is they hear the buzz, they're not trying it out. Like MCP, I think it was like in April or May that it kind of blew up, and like everyone was talking MCP. And then we hear from customers, do we have an MCP server? At this point we had, but before I said it, I kind of asking, what are you looking MCP server for? And then it's like, not sure. Or and what
I just know
MCP?
I need to ask that. Yeah.
Yeah, and like what kind of your top 3 MCP servers you tried out so far? Well, actually, I just heard our friend who used them. So I think it's more of a trend, and people like to say they're trying things, and you want to show that you're up to date. And if everyone are talking MCP, probably there's something to it. If everyone is talking on AI agents, probably there is something that we could leverage there. So the way I see it, our job is to kind of cut the nonsense from the important things and show you why you need an MCP server, or what would a good MCP server do for you, or how you could send the AI agent to work, coding agent, for example, and trust his outputs. This is the challenge I'm taking. And I think once we saw that, then the questions of do you have these, do you have that, are really less important. Like I could get a question, are you integrated with Stripe and do you allow to charge your credit card with AI agents? But I don't think that's relevant to our industry. So I think we need to be very opinionated and very focused on what is the problem we're here to solve. I'm not sure AI, it really depends, but AI didn't change like the basic fact of what we're here to solve. Like the problem is still the problem we're solving. AI is just here, and it's a very good and evolving, fast evolving technology we can leverage. And as long as we stay true to that, I believe the buzz and the fear of not being up to date can be minimized. Yet, scrolling through my feed, you always feel left out, and that you must explore a new way. So it's hard, like how you balance between those two.
Yeah. I love what you said there. Like, it doesn't change the fundamental business that we're doing, of whatever business that is. And I think it's interesting as an industry. Probably for a year, we were in this like, well, we just got to be doing AI, and it doesn't matter what business you're doing. I got to be doing AI stuff. But it feels like the industry, everybody's kind of calmed down a little bit, and now they've kind of gone back to the basics, those first principles of like, okay, what is our business? Oh, we're a bank. We take people's money, we put it in a big metal room, and when they come back and want it again, we can give it to them. Like, that's very much trivializing banking. There's a lot more to it, I think. But yeah, I mean, getting back to those basics of what is the business we're here to do? Those things don't change. The fundamental aspects of the core business that you do have not changed. It's just AI is a tool. How can we do that business differently or better? I think that we're settling down.
Yeah, and in some industries, in some kind of verticals, it might be very frightening and make sense to rethink what the company do. So, like, if you have, like, one thing I'm thinking about is like the financial industry.
Mm-hmm.
Like in the financial industry, when you kind of need to be reimbursed or expenses, and you have month end, you need to fill in and send receipts. So it doesn't make sense for me that this would stay. I wouldn't say the industry is lost. I just say that, do you really need a person and the software to document receipts? Probably not. There will be a solution. But does it change like the basic nature of the problem, which is in this case to have like accurate, up-to-date financials and make sure employees get what they need and their benefits? No, this is still the job. So it's just like apply critical thinking on what you believe AI could solve, and always try to be one step ahead. Like the fact that it can't solve it now doesn't mean it won't. So you kind of need to say, I think it's kind of 60-70% okay now, so it probably makes sense to build a business to assume it will get to 90% over time. And if in those 10% we have like human in the loop or some kind of guardrails, then this is how you adopt AI. You never have 100%, and you never wait for it to be 90% because then you're behind the crew. So
we've, I agree. I think that you've got to take that staged approach. We've talked about MCP servers a little bit, and I don't know that we've ever like kind of dove into what an MCP server is on this show. Tell me kind of briefly, like what is the gist of what is an MCP server?
So as someone from our company said it, think of a dog, and like you play. Yeah, I know.
I'm all ears right now.
Right. So you kind of play fetch with your dog, and
Mm-hmm.
you do it in your living room, for example. Now, if you want to play in a different room and not in the living room, then you have a door, right? You can't throw the ball at the door. You need to open the door. Now, think of the other room as, a new opportunity, new data, new excitement for this play of fetch. And think of the door as the gateway, or the MCP server, so to speak, that exists in the middle. Similarly, in the chat, when you kind of go back and forth in the chat, like, how are you today? I'm okay. Help me build this document. Here are the documents for your review. And then you want to say, I want to compare this document with the actual code base. Or I want to compare this document with our guidelines, the way we have them in our knowledge repository. If you just ask the chat for something like that, it won't know, right? Like, it don't know what is your knowledge repository, it don't know your code base. You need to kind of open the door to a new kind of path. So this is kind of the very basics of MCP. But if I go one step further, and I go even a bit deeper, MCP is just thinking humans need dashboards, they need text, they need typography, they need links. What agents need? Agents need, they need data, they need knowledge. How can we surface it to them? And this is where MCP comes in. And I believe the value of MCP is not by just saying, this is just APIs for agents. I think APIs are solvable for agents. It's thinking what is the experience that an agent need. Like, let's take an example. If an agent is building, let's say, a Notion page in your knowledge repository, so you'll need to think, what is the tool that it needs to build a page? Maybe it needs to add headings. Maybe it needs markdowns. Maybe it needs to summarize the page. You kind of need to think, what are the tools they just need to succeed in the task? And these tools are the core of what an MCP is. An MCP server comes from all different third-party providers, so you kind of extend your personal AI coding assistant or just AI chat with access to all these third-party tools in a way that's very like accessible and adapted to agents. And it's just amazing. Like, to give an example, like I'm using Claude in my day-to-day, and I can say in the chat things like, what is the next meeting on my calendar? Help me prepare for it. Send a Slack message with the agenda on this channel, and write a Google Doc on this. And everything happens from the chat interface. And this is the power that MCP gives me.
Okay. Yeah, I was trying to think of like the core platform of like what ChatGPT or Claude, what they provide is, they have a bunch of things that they can do. They do have capabilities that are built in, but there are certain things, as you said, there's these third-party things that it may not know anything about. It's exposing the functionalities and features of those third-party things to the core system, kind of like a plug-in, or maybe like maybe a way to think of it would be like when you buy an iPhone and you open it, it can do some things like take pictures, or it's got some apps built in, but for other things, like if I want to track my run or my bike, I got to go download Strava, for instance, right? So maybe that
Right.
like an MCP server. Yeah, it's kind of like an app for a phone. Okay, all right. And is that becoming maybe not our parents' level yet, but it is becoming an expectation from our users that having exposure and being able to plug in those MCP servers is important to them.
Yeah, in a way. And I also think that in this case, and I believe technical people, software engineers, they are really the early adopters. So MCP, if we would talk on an API, then today APIs, no one worries on API, it just becomes a standard. But MCP just laid the ground of what is possible. And then when you saw it, you started, ninja your way to it, try to gather a token from here, installing something locally here to get the benefits of MCPs. But I think that today, first of all, yes, it is an expectation, but I also think that we are transitioning to a period where it's more hidden in a way, and the MCPs kind of exist, but it's not the experience we give you in the product. Like, it was just a very, or I wouldn't say very, but relatively fast way, very kind of quick and fast way to give you access, your AI agents, your AI coding assistants, to leverage third-party tools. But then when you think about it, why would you leverage third-party tools? And then you kind of go to a world of more native integrations, or just build everything inside one product. So you have all kind of variations here. But I do hear that, to me, MCP is kind of needed. I need an MCP to work with tools because I'm not writing anymore. I'm not building, all kind of configurations anymore. I need a platform that's kind of very prompt, human-facing, AI-supported kind of visionary.
Yeah, and I think the one thing that's kind of cool when it comes to like LLMs using MCP servers is like, you talk about APIs. It doesn't necessarily have to be like that concrete API like we used to think of, like an open API specification. It can be much more loosey-goosey to LLM, because the LLM understands language, and so the MCP server can kind of describe its capabilities in just text, and it's like, okay, yeah, I know I can figure out how to work with you. So that's kind of cool that integration is it's malleable, right? It's very
exactly.
It's easier to adapt, so that's pretty cool.
Exactly.
So
anyway, I would also emphasize that why you can benefit from MCP servers. I talk to companies where MCP is like forbidden, and like you can't connect an MCP server. There are also many risks to it, and when you want, let's say, like in a large company, you want to enable the benefits and the power of MCP, which is really connecting your third-party data to an LLM, it's not that trivial. Like, you need guardrails, you need approvals, you need a way to kind of delegate and change access controls between teams. You need platforms that can do that. And, this is what part of what we're building, but I just think that it is a challenge. It is a challenge to even get to the point you're using MCP in a professional kind of settings.
Yeah. I've just started to kind of incorporate MCP into my kind of daily workflows too, and it's kind of mind blowing. So it's kind of cool. All right, so you guys are developing products, as we said, for software engineers, and of course, all the buzz is we're not going to need software engineers, that sort of thing. Like nobody's going to have a job in 5 years. What is the future like for a product company building products for software developers and platform engineers? What does the future look like? How are we evolving? What is everything going to look like 5 years from now?
Right. So, need to say that with AI, when you speak future, it's probably a month. So 5 years.
Exactly. Yeah. 5 minutes from now.
Armageddon. But what I'm seeing in the market is that, first of all, like on the question on will there be software engineers? So I would ask you, if you are a CTO of a company and you see that AI, in its promise at least, allows developers, engineers to build like 5x more, 10x more, would you hire more or less engineers? Probably more. You want to build more. No one wants to build less. I mean, you want to build a better product. You want to accommodate more audiences. So I don't think software engineers are going anyway. I do think that few years from now, and sometimes I feel it's month from now, if you're able to successfully run coding agents in your organization, and we have customers who do that, then you're in a point that developers, engineers are not really coding. They are kind of reviewing, architecting, planning, and we talked earlier on the visuals and the interfaces. This is where an interface is very handy. I imagine the software engineering, the R&D organization, to be from, I think today it's somewhat daily routines of you have the daily stand-up, this is what I did yesterday, this is what I'm doing today. And even if you have some sense of urgency, it's kind of pretty smooth, so to speak. I imagine it transitioning to something more like a call center, support center experience. You have this all kind of dashboards. I think you have to have the visuals here. You have hundreds of agents running around. You're just waiting for the point where the agents need humans. They know what to build. You have feature requests, you have bugs, you have escalations, you have security issues, you have failed deployment. You have all these sources of tasks. You don't need to invent anything. You have PMs, and product teams thinking what they want to achieve. And then you have agents doing all of this, and we agree they can't do it alone. They need humans. So once they need the humans, they bring him into the loop. Help me review this PR. I'm stuck in this deployment. I need permissions. Can I fix this incident? I think I can, but it's 2 a.m. and it's affecting this gold customer, and I'm not sure we can deploy this hour. So this becomes like a 24/7 engineering organization where developers become orchestrators. They become sort of tech leads. And in this kind of scenario, I believe that, first of all, there will be more of them. And when this is the future, the role of the platform, and we spoke about it, the platform engineers are really more crucial, because you start to think how we can make something very autonomous, how we can make something very agentic, how we can make a process that when there's a failed build in our deployment pipeline, it automatically heals itself and just deploys again. And I don't need to worry about it. When there's an incident, why do I need to think twice? We have a run book. We need to open a Zoom. We need to open a Slack channel. We need to fix, obviously, the issue. We need to report to everyone, write a postmortem. What's in there that AI can't do? I'm not saying it needs to do it alone, but how can I build this workflow that's AI first rather than human first, sometimes using AI on the side? So this is the transitioning I'm seeing. And I think it will just be a world where software engineers benefit from having a more holistic skills, like PMing, like UX, like researching, like experimenting, because your core of how to build good software is something you can now, in a way, delegate, instruct, write, architect to tens and hundreds of agents, and you in a way have some spare time. So someone needs to think on what needs to be built and what is good, what good means in our product. And I encourage, software engineers to think like that, think like a PM. And in a way, I'm, as a PM, trying to think more like a software engineer. Like, how can I build it myself? Like, do I really need to open a task on it for my team, or can I somehow contribute to myself with the AI info we have?
Yeah, I love that look on, kind of that we may need more engineers. I guess we get stuck in our current thinking of like, okay, this is just how the world works right now. A person comes up with an idea, and a team of 5 or 6 software engineers are going to take 6 months, and they're going to argue back and forth, and then finally we're going to have something that we can put in front of our users. But obviously this changes that calculus, the estimates, and all of that. So I think it's an accelerator, but I think it's a matter of I think we were throttling our own brains and our own creativity, because if a product person has one idea and then it's implemented tomorrow or the next day, it's not like their brain stops working. They've had another idea. How can I make the world better for my users and my customers again and again and again? We're not going to run out of new ideas of how to do things. We're not going to just finish all the bright ideas in the world in a couple months and just sit around. Well, now what do we do? We'll have more and more ideas. It's just that we couldn't have gotten to those ideas as quickly in the traditional without AI, right? Without that accelerator. So I love that kind of take it. You didn't say it that way, but that's kind of the way I was hearing it in my brain.
Yeah. And when you said that there are kind of multiple opinions, then I remember it was probably 4 or 5 years ago when I was in a company. We kind of redesigned our site, and there was all kind of design guidelines or design, all kind of ways of designers to think on a product. So we had 3 designers, each one working on his idea for 2 weeks, coming back after 2 weeks and say, this is what we have, and we have this kind of vote of one we think is best. And in today's world, it's not the future. Today's world, you kind of open a mocking app. There are a bunch of those, all have a free tier. And you just have, I want this idea 1, this idea 2, this idea 3. You wait 5 to 10 minutes. You have the 3 ideas already. You can spin up a quick prototype using your coding agent, and you just send a survey to your customers. What do you prefer? And within a day, you have an answer that is customer-based. And this is today. So I just think that the cost of building is so low that why not build everything? Let's build all the ideas. Let's build all the variations, and let's just stick to what's working. The question then become, what is our success criteria? How do we know what we are optimizing for? Which is very crucial for AI, right? AI needs to know what its success criteria are, otherwise it would fail. So I think these are just more it's good questions to focus on. I'd rather my team focus on what success mean rather than do we prefer Kafka or RabbitMQ?
Right. Yeah, I mean, you think about commerce back in the day of if we wanted to sell something from one country to another, you'd have to put all those things on a big boat. We still do some of that, but to this day, it would take 3 months, right? Or in order to get in contact with another country, I'd have to get on a boat and take 3 months to get there. There was no email. There was no telegram at that point. You had to sail somewhere and then go talk to those people. Well, this changed all that. With the airplane, we can hop on a plane now. So it's just more business was able to happen because we were able to accelerate and do new things. So there's more businesses exploded. It wasn't well, we just did, spice trading and that's all we do now still with planes. No, it compounded and allows us to do more things. So, yeah, that's great. So I'm not going to be out of a job is what you're telling me.
I don't think you would. I don't think you are.
Okay.
I if anything, I think you'll host AI agents in the show.
Yeah. Yeah. That'd be kind of cool.
They'll have good takes. Yeah.
It would be interesting to see their answers for the final segment of the show, the lightning round, see what they say then, and if I can stump them.
I wonder if the same way we think that AI needs human in the loop, if you'll host AI agent, will he say that sometimes human needs AI in the loop?
They may just kick me out of the show. The AI agents would just take over, and then they
right.
the listeners might like that better. All right, so the next segment of our show, and this has been fantastic. This is great. So really expanding my brain. I love it when I have guests on that I learn things, and now I'm thinking differently. So that's great. The next segment of our show is our segment that we call Ship It or Skip It.
Ship or skip, everybody, we got to tell us if you ship or skip.
Okay, first up for the Ship It or Skip It question. This is kind of an interesting one, a little bit of a thought experiment, I guess, if you will. If you could only do one or the other, one being hiring an AI agent or the other being hiring like a software engineer, a person, forever and ever, amen, for the future, what would you do? What would you choose?
To me personally, I would say an AI agent. And it's not because I don't value humans. I think that when you had a human, you just keep thinking and doing more of the same. Like you're saying, yeah, I will use those AI agents, I will leverage AI, but like not now. Like now I have this urgent stuff we already committed to. AI won't do it good. Let's just work with what we have. But if I'm just getting another AI agent, I must change the way I work. Like I must think how I can provide it the context it needs, how I can provide it the tools it needs to succeed, right? We talked on MCP. So I think that bringing onboarding AI agents to the team just make you think differently and try to solve the problem from a different angle. And I think that's where you can actually 10x and upscale what you're doing versus then adding another human engineer. That's to me personally. Yet I do believe that we tend to bring more humans in and throw humans at a problem. I think we just need to look at the problem from a different angle.
Yeah, I think we're not quite at the point where we've figured out what is the new normal from a capability standpoint for one human being to do with AI agents. I don't think we understand that yet. I think there's as I said, there's a new calculus involved. Like how much can we do? What is our capacity? I do think we need to explore introducing more and more agents into our world on a day-to-day basis to really get the full feeling of, as you said, like what can't an AI agent do in a software development world, right? There's a lot of things that they can help us with. I do like that idea of introducing, more and more agents to really kind of push that envelope and see where can we get. But even with that, it'll open the floodgates, right? I mean, I think, as you said before, we're going to need more and more engineers because of this, because now the creative floodgates are they're open, right? So,
and James, if I can bring an example, in my team, like product team, we had this kind of all different rotations of like all kind of tasks that we kind of do because someone needs to do them. One of them is the changelog. So every feature, every change that comes up, we need to document it, have a link, have a screenshot, and eventually we want to publish something that says, like, this is what we shipped this month. And this was a 100% human process. And as you say, like, this takes from the PM capacity, and you obviously need to onboard new members with time. And what I did is really what you said. Like, I just thought, why wouldn't AI do that, and what it needs from us? And I built an agent in our team that does exactly this process, like just picking up all the releases, building the release notes, getting them, sending them for approval to the PMs, and eventually publish this out. So this reduced the time it takes to build it from a couple of days to like an hour or two just reviewing. So this is exactly what I think people, product folks, product teams needs to do. They need to stop, think, does it make sense for a human to do this end to end? And if not, let's start to give at least a chunk of it to AI. And you'll see what AI can do and can't do and how to work with it. That's the beauty of it. And when it works, it really is amazing.
It is pretty impressive. I've been very impressed with, especially on software development, like Claude, like with UI work. I mean, it's pretty darn impressive. And this is something you brought up when we were prepping for this episode, this notion of AI evaluations, and this notion that all product managers should be able to do AI evaluations. As this seems like it's kind of becoming this hot topic in the product world. Tell me a little bit about that, and what's your take on that? So
I'm hearing it a lot. AI evals, AI evaluations, which, as you mentioned, is kind of thinking the way I see it is like thinking kind of an acceptance criteria for the feature. So if you are pre-AI kind of, let's say, regular feature, your acceptance criteria would be what would happen when I click this button, what happens when I open this pop-up, what is the text I expect this to show. And with AI, there's a change because it's non-deterministic. You don't know what would be the answer.
Sure.
If someone is able to get AI to answer the exact same things multiple times, then let me know. And as a product person, to think what would success mean in this kind of conversation chat interface, it's harder. And then you could say kind of obvious things like the chat needs to be accurate. It shouldn't hallucinate. Yeah, okay, it's kind of like saying the software needs no bugs. Like it says nothing. So evals are kind of a way or something that is kind of gaining traction that says, and specifically it says like product managers should write AI evaluations. And what is AI evaluation? For example, AI evaluation could be, the way I hear about it at least, and the way people usually mean, is something like when you have this prompt, and let's say the prompt is, we are an app that helps you buy for clothing. And with this kind of prompt, and when the user is asking, do you have size medium on these trousers? Then this would be the good response. And let's say the response is, yes, we do have a couple of those. It will cost $5. This is kind of a very simplified way of what usually people mean when they talk on AI evals. And I have two takes on this. One, I don't think it's different from writing acceptance criteria at the time, given user comes to shop, when he clicks on this button, then this will happen. I don't think it's really different. So I don't think there's any news there. I just think it's a very focused way to look at something broader, which is how do I measure the success of my AI product? And when this becomes the question, I believe that it's not really on writing or not writing evals. It's how do you know your product is successful? And I think it's critical for your success and for your company and the product. It's just different metrics. For example, I want to be able to see traces of what users are asking and when AI hallucinates. I want to see how many follow-ups questions do you have on your first question. Maybe it indicates that it didn't get it right. Or I want to see how long your chat takes because maybe it shows you're engaged. Or maybe if I go deeper, when I'm asked on a specific topic that I don't have any knowledge on, I expect you to answer that you don't have any knowledge on. So I just think it's really kind of what we did so far. We just need to understand that it's non-deterministic, so you kind of need to think about it a bit differently. And the second thing is I don't think it's relevant to PMs only. I don't think it's the PM single and most important skill. I think it's the product team skill. I think engineers need to understand how they build successful products. Pretty much the same as the PM. I see myself as part of the team and as a product team with engineers, with PMs, we need to make sure our product is successful. And how we do it by monitoring, by troubleshooting, analyzing errors. So I think AI evals, as usually being right about, are very specific to something that I think is not very high value action. I think the high value comes from deciding what success looks like and making sure you have a successful product. Sometimes it requires evals, other times it doesn't.
So is your idea more like it's not just about like the output that shows up on the screen? It's more about the overall experience. And I think this notion isn't new. If I think of like marketing people, like bounce rates. I changed my website and more people are bouncing, right? They're not staying there for very long. So we have this like behavioral observation that reflects like, did my change, the actual output, help, or is it better or worse? Okay. I like it. I think that's true.
You have new challenges. Like there's a new model that came out, or you want to change from Gemini to Anthropic Sonnet. How do you know your product still succeeds, still like work in the same rates as before? It's a different challenge. Like you don't, in some cases you don't know. So AI evals kind of try to make a way for you to know. But again, these are just more challenges. Like if you were migrate from AWS to Azure, like how do you know the product stays successful? You do, because like you just change your cloud infra. But when you change your AI infra, it could twist your entire product upside down. So I just think you need to acknowledge it and kind of make sense of it and see what skills you need in this kind of era. But it's definitely a new challenge, and I think it's been there. The technology just behaves a bit differently.
Yeah, we have had this challenge with some of our clients already, where as the new models come out, and we're like, okay, we built a system, even a simple RAG-based system is going to feel different after a model upgrade, and so you have to figure out, is different worse? Is different better? Is different just different? What is it? So, okay. All right. I like it. All right. Well, that was great. Now we transition to the most important part of the show. This was the warm up, just to kind of, take your nerves off, so you're not nervous. We did all of what we're talking about now just to get you to calm down for the really important part of our show, which is the lightning round. There are correct answers. This is high stakes. We do have a scoring algorithm for the answers for this, and it's super, super important. Are you ready for the lightning round?
I hope I am. I'll do my best.
What was your last Halloween costume you wore?
I'm trying to think when I actually wore the Halloween costume. One I remember was a skull-like, face paint, where we had a family kind of costume.
It's a classic. Very good. Very good. Why can't we tickle ourselves?
Can't we?
The question's written here, so I assume it's true. Yeah, I don't.
Yeah. So if it's written, I won't challenge it.
Yeah, it's on the internet, so it's got to be true, right?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's because it's funnier when someone else tickles you. Like if you tickle yourself and you're kind of laughing, and then you just I don't think the challenge here. I don't think it's really funny as someone else tickling you and you're just going, "Oh, please stop," and you kind of continuing, and it just takes the fun out.
All right. When you go to the grocery store and you get your groceries, paper or plastic, what do you go with?
Paper.
And I didn't know if that's
100%.
I didn't know if that was a regional thing, like if it's different in Israel or not. But what is your ideal outdoor temperature?
I'm Mediterranean. I like the sea. I like the beach. So I would say enjoy in like close to 30 degrees Celsius, which is pretty hot.
Okay. You like it hot.
That's
okay.
Kind of I like it hot.
All right.
Usually I'm the one who kind of wants to turn off the air conditioning, and my wife is the one that turns it on, and then I'm kind of bring the, the blanket. So I'm the warmer guy.
All right, I had to do the calculation because a lot of our folks are here in the United States, and we like to stick with things that nobody else in the world uses, so we use the Fahrenheit scale. That's about 86 degrees out, for us. That is pretty. That's warm. I mean, I don't mind it. I'm probably more down in the 78, 76, somewhere in that, which a few degrees, but yeah, I like it. All right. Do you currently own any stuffed animals?
So no, first of all, and I'm vegan, and I know it's not like necessarily correlated, but like I don't like stuffed animal or zoos or anything like animal. Like I want animals to be in the wild.
Yeah.
So no, I don't have stuffed animal.
If you had to choose between either climbing a mountain or jumping out of a plane, which one would you choose?
Climbing a mountain.
Yeah.
I'm not scared of height, but I'm definitely scared of jumping off a plane.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't like that idea either. What is a country that you'd be okay never visiting in your life? Not that you dislike it, but it'd be like, if I didn't get around to getting there, I'm okay with that.
I would say Russia.
Russia?
Yeah, like I think there are some nice views there, but I think it's too cold for me either way, all year round. So I'm kind of okay being at a distance from it.
Okay. Okay, since you're vegan, this is a good question for you. Black beans or refried beans in your burrito?
Probably black beans.
Black beans? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We would have also accepted refried beans. That was another correct answer to that question.
Oh, so that was a tricky question. Oh,
well, no, it was. We asked black or refried, and you said black, and I said we would have also accepted refried beans. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. What size of bed do you prefer to sleep on?
Well, it depends. Is it only me or like my spouse?
You can answer both ways if you'd like. We'll allow it. Like if you go to a hotel, what are you asking for?
I probably, if it was only me, I would ask for like maybe a queen size bed. Like,
okay.
I don't need too much.
Sure.
But then if I'm not alone, then usually I'm the one cuddling on one side, and then my wife is the one taking the entire bed. So I probably need the king size.
Okay, so some things are the same all over the world, and they're universal. Yeah, that's my experience as well.
Yeah, I assume so.
Yeah. Do you know how to salsa dance?
Not really. I think I had a lesson or two, and I know this 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, but probably that's it. So I would go with no.
Okay. All right, and finally, for the lightning round, can you touch your toes without bending your knees?
No, I think I could at one point, but now I guess I'm just past this age, so no.
Okay.
I do see my kids who sometimes practice yoga, and I see they're doing these crazy things with their body. They're like very. So
yeah,
I'm not.
That stuff like gives me like a cramp watching them do it. Yeah, I know. Yeah. Kids are very bendy. Okay. Any closing remarks? Anything coming up? Like, are you speaking anywhere? Any sort of big blog posts you're producing? Anything big coming out from Port that you want to let us know about? Anything like that coming up that you'd like to share with us?
So, as I mentioned, like we started our AI journey a year ago, and we are later this month launching our new version of what we see as the future of developer portals. Mm-hmm. So definitely stay tuned for that. And as for myself, I'm writing a personal blog. Nothing really major coming up, but I like to write on technology, where AI bluffs me, or kind of very super cool automations I build. So you can definitely find me on my blog at matangr.com. And given we speak now, probably I will have a post coming up in a week or two.
All right. Fantastic. Yeah, I'll have to check out your blog. Well, this has been great. Thank you very much. I don't know if this is this like late in the day? No, I guess it's like mid.
No, it's like afternoon here.
Yeah. Well, thank you for joining us from way over yonder on the other side of the world. That's great. Thank you so much. And we really appreciate you coming on. And thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, James. Cheers.
If you'd like to get in touch with us here at /, drop us a line at @calibrity.com. See you next time. The / podcast is created by Calibrity. Our director is Dylan Kortz, producer Ryan Wilson, with editing by Steve Baradelli. Marketing support comes from Taylor Blessing. I'm your host, James Carmen. Thanks for listening.